Hi, good morning y'all. Welcome back to Delboy's Garage. Whinging log. This is going to be a fuck right off log number 11. Now before I get stuck into this FRO and the subject of choice, I just want a couple of little thingamabobs. I'll just, obviously a different aspect today, stuck you on the side of me canister, just something a bit different, just picking up on what my good mate Blah Blah 52 does, who's apparently not 52 by the way. I like it, look, you're at my eye line and you'll see later on in this FRO log that there is a reason for it. This is risky shit. Press the thin button. So, to the FRO. Today's subject of dirigeant is going to be motor cars. The ridiculous expansion in size of fat bloated motor cars these days. And it's only recent. It's only been in the last probably 5 or 10 years. And while I'm here, that thing there, one of those, is the first example. That's a Fiat 500. Now, you look or find a picture on the net of the original Fiat 500 from the 1960s. They were so tiny, you could buy one for each foot. They were ridiculously small, which is great. They were wonderful, glorious little bit of 60s kitsch. Fabulous little car, 500cc, 2-stroke motor in them, lovely. And of course the Mini, there's another candidate. Look at a proper Eric Isagonis designed 1960s British Mini. You could get one in the boot of a modern Mini, they're so small. By comparison, the modern Mini defies its own name. And they do a 4x4, I think they call it the Mini All 4 or something. It's just ridiculous. It's the size of a bloody van. So think about it, it's in the name, a Mini. And also that brings you to the Nissan. What's happened to the Nissan Micra? I remember the first Nissan Micra. It's like a little noddy car with 2 old ladies in it and it was full up. But now look at them, they're giant great big things. They're the shape of an upside down cooking bowl. And the arse on them's wider than that fat bird at school you went out with you didn't want your mates to know about. They really are getting bigger and bloated. Penny found when I told her I was just kind of storyboarding this one out, she found a website and it's Our Cars Getting Bigger, and you look, they silhouette cars of what they're like and what they used to be like. And they are, genuinely, cars are getting larger. Cars we used to know and used to love. Here's one, the Suzuki Vitara, or Jimny. Who remembers the little Barbie Jeep? Absolutely wonderful little off-roader. The damn thing now is like a Freelander, which has completely defeated the object of the little Barbie Jeep that used to be. Why is it? Who knows? And the one that staggered me the most is the glorious little sports car, the Honda S2000, which I think is a fabulous car. But the original one was the S800, and you see one against the other. Honestly, these are tiny little things, a proper little sports car like an MG Midget. But not anymore, they're all getting ridiculously oversized. So that gives you some examples of cars that are getting bigger and bigger for no reason. Look at this thing in front of me, a Saab by the look of it. Now this is a dual carriageway lane, and if you look at his mirrors either side, he's got about 6 inches or 8 inches either side, and that's his lane filled up. This thing on the left, whatever that is, I'm not a Fiesta possibly, that used to be an average sized car. I mean, there's another one, look at the Mark 1 Fiesta from the 1970s. I think they came out in 76 or 77, the little flat bonnet thing, and then you look at, no, it's a Honda, like I should know. The little Fiesta now, it's an MPV, and I'll come on to MPVs in a minute. Things like this little Fiat thing, Panda. Hey, oh, there's one. Look at the size of that thing. Fiat Panda used to be a minuscule little tin box. So I think you get the picture, right? Now there's 3 reasons that this is in my ear today. Because it bleeds onto 4x4s. They've become giant, great big things as well. And it's only honestly in the last 5 years. Look at the age of the smaller versions of these vehicles and the age of the ones that are swollen up. They're only the last 3 to 5 years. They've been getting bigger and bigger and bigger and taller. It's not so much more the length of the cars. It's the width and the height's getting bigger and bigger. I don't know why. And there's three issues in kind of rising levels of importance. One issue, and a mild thing, is inconvenience, right? The inconvenience of the fact you can't get them in a garage anymore. Apparently a Nissan Micra fits in a standard garage car, or a standard car garage doorway with 6 inches each side. That's a Micra. How on earth are you going to get something like a big Vauxhall or a Peugeot 5 Series in there, or a 3 Series Beamer? Try and get a modern 3 Series BMW in a garage. Now, one of my other tuber mates, Pete 1972. Now, Pete's not a bike bloke. Pete's into cars. He's got a wicked Camaro that's just been painted candy copper and white. And aside from his muscle cars, I think he's a little bit into the German sort of Barry Boy cars, and I like them. They're not a problem. It's not an issue, but he knows his stuff. Now, Pete, if you're watching, remember the old original 1980s BMW 3 Series 325, the E23 model? That was a tiny little thing by comparison to the modern 3 Series. You look at a modern M3 now, they're bigger than an old 7 Series. So they've established that stuff is getting bigger for some bizarre and apparent reason. Don't understand why. And the inconvenience of this, garages and ferries, and I'll come back to this in a minute, but you can't get them on a ferry anymore. Can't get them in car parking spaces. You go in a car park now, something parks next to you, you can't get out your frigging door. So there's the inconvenience factor, which is only a mild issue. God, look at that, heat shimmer. Haven't seen that for a while. The second thing's more important. It's a cost issue. There has been a big issue or backlash from ferry companies. There, look at that. Cheers, mate. Ferry companies suggesting that they're no longer able to get the cars in the ferries that they used to. Apparently, according to EU safety laws, they have to have the ability to extricate a person from an automobile on the ferry roll-on, roll-off car deck in the event of an emergency. Zigzags. A fire or medical emergency, they have to be able to get them out. That's EU law, they state that. Yeah. Thank you, sir. And naturally they can't do that with two Range Rovers side by side, forming a 3-inch gap. So what we end up with is them having to rub out the lines where there were 5 lanes and only put 4 lanes in. So that naturally means that you can't get as many cars on the ferry, so they're going to put the tickets up, aren't they? They're not going to swallow the hit, are they? They'll just pass it on to the user, you and me. So all the ferry tickets are more expensive because they've got less cars on there. But there's a third and more serious issue, really serious. It's a deadly issue. And it's suitable to see this thing in front of me. Now that's the Vauxhall Mariva. I just want to add here, I'm not picking on any particular car, I'm talking about the general trend and design. Look at that greenhouse there, look at it. Now these MPVs in front, let's just get in front of her and show you what I mean. It's the roof lines. Look at this thing here. Look at the roof line on that. That's got to be 5 foot high, 5.5 foot. The car in front is one of them swollen minis, and alright, that's wider than the old Mini, blah blah blah. But this thing, it's these MPVs. Find another one. So many cars now are nearly 6 foot high in the roof line. And that affects you and me as bikers, because as much as the old NCAP safety rating 5-star doo-dee-da is all very good and righteous, don't think it's for you folks, it ain't. It's just to sell cars, it's for the salesman to make his commission on, because safety sells. There's a fat ass Mini. How's that a Mini? Look at the size of it. So this is my point today, the FRO of choice. Fat ass vehicles. It's dangerous, it's causing extra cost on ferries and things. You can't get them in garages, you can't get them in parking spaces. I think they're dangerous to us on bikes because they're bigger vehicles. And I don't know about you, but if you've been riding a few years, you might remember the days when the roads were filled with Triumph Heralds and Mark 1 Escorts and bubble cars and stuff that was no bigger than that. you could filter down the outside of the traffic without it having to move over, because the roads are not really any wider. But now the roads just seem so filled with cars, stuffed almost. And look at this view I've got, that Mini. Now that's a Mini, and sitting in my position, my eye line is directly in line with this roof. And that's a Mini. Cars are getting bigger. You could ask, why is it? You could suggest or surmise a few answers to yourself. You alright? How you doing? Oh dear. Running one of your mates over ain't cool. But this whole point, I think it's people wanting to be above the traffic. You remember the old mantra that if you're in a Range Rover, you're safe because you're up above the traffic. Well, I think the car manufacturers have taken this on. And now everybody's, oh, hang on, everybody's not above the traffic because the traffic's higher now. So it's cancelled itself out, you see. And that's what I think some of the reason is. The Range Rover thing, look at the size. This steroid effect on Range Rovers has become utterly ridiculous. And not just them, I'm not just picking on Range Rovers. Audi Q7s, the big Lexus 400, 4x4 thing, Porsche Cayenne, all of them, absolutely enormous. Mercedes MLs, and my absolute pet hate, the one I detest the most, is that fucking hideous BMW X6. I have no idea what on earth BMW are thinking of. That's nice. That is nice. Matte black Focus RS. So this whole issue of cars getting fatter and larger is the big cars are now getting bigger than they ever were. And that really does worry me because the size of these things is bizarre. People are not learning to drive them. You got these giant 4x4s rolling around now with little skinny women driving them, little scrawny trophy wives taking Pippa to Pony Club. Oh, ignore me then. And why do they need a car? Why do they need to drive along in a 2-ton townhouse? Don't know. Loses me, but I think there we are. That's the meat of the subject, and the crux of it, the punchline, is this. I think that the aggression in people has grown and swollen with the cars. The confrontational, instantaneous face-off you get. And it's not so much on my bike, because I tend to ride, well, you see how I ride. I don't really do the whole system thing. And I just ride to get there. But when you're in my van or in my bus driving around, the abject aggression from people is getting ridiculous. It truly is. Now, I was saddened in the last FRO, truly saddened, to hear comments from my good friends in Canada, America and Australia and the like, how when they filter the video we did on the language of road positioning, filtering, how in their countries people just move to knock you off. They would just bang the brakes on and drive you off the road, and that's horrible. That's just lethal. Sad. In this country, perhaps it's going that way. You saw that we can filter here reasonably safely if you do it using the right method. It can work, but I don't know whether it's going that way. Like as I said earlier, a few friends have been killed recently, and it saddens me greatly. It upsets me horribly to think of the friends we've lost. And recently, this is the final point I want to make. My darling Penny Pitstop has begun expressing concern about her future on a bike. She got her license in 2000 and has ridden before 2000. So for 13 years she's been a rider, and before that 10 years as my pillion. And she's talking about maybe just going back to pillion or giving it up. And that breaks my heart, it truly does. But I get her point. She gets carved up, she's on a Harley, cut across in front of, pulled out on, and she's just worrying and she's frightened some of the time, and I don't want that for her. Who knows what the solution is? Perhaps just practice and get out in the countryside. But there we are, fat ass cars and road aggression can fuck right off. I've got a day's work to do, so take it easy, ride safe. ride safe, and I mean that. And I'll see you next time.